Digital connectivity and clean energy are reshaping how economies grow, faster, smarter, and more sustainable. Our conversation today explores how these forces are converging to reshape productivity, competitiveness, and policy. I'm joined by three distinguished leaders driving this transformation. His Excellency, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, former Minister of Mines and Steel Development in Nigeria, and Mr. Mohammed الرمحي, CEO of Masdar, and Captain Saif Mheiri, CEO of Abu Dhabi Maritime and Chief Sustainability Officer at AD Board Group. It's a pleasure to have all of you here with us today. So let's begin. I will start with you, Your Excellency Fayemi. With your experience in both governance and mining sector, how do you see advanced technologies like AI transforming the strategic value for the minerals in the global energy transition?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back here after the Healy Forum, and I thank the leadership of ECSSR for inviting me. Everything happening around the world now is about AI. Everyone talks about artificial intelligence and its role in transformation generally. And if you want to focus on the mining sector, there would be no AI without the mining sector. Most of the drivers of the technology itself comes from minerals, particularly rare earth minerals that are the main instruments used in creating this new world technology. And the bulk of that, if I may say so, also comes from the African continent. 70% of cobalt, 30% of lithium, 90% of platinum. But it's not really so much about what you have underground. It's the use to which you put it to and how you enhance the capacity to be of value to the world. So it's clear that a country like United Arab Emirates is playing very actively in that sector. And what we need to guide against is the challenge between monopoly and interoperability, in my view. And I think the Vision 2071 of UAE focuses largely on achieving that, diversifying from the oil sector and also focusing a lot on technology. And for us in Africa, that is a challenge that we're interested in. How do we utilize the God-given resources that are available on the continent in order to make the impact that AI clearly is going to make around the world? But in doing that, we need to ensure energy security, we need to ensure technology sovereignty, and we need to ensure that interoperability is achieved collectively so that we're not caught in between the powers that are driving this, either from the West or the East.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You mentioned that we need to ensure energy security, and this energy take me to Mr. Ramahi. The UAE is taking a major steps in both artificial intelligence and clean energy, with AI infrastructure like data center driving huge electricity demand. What role will renewable play in meeting these needs, and how is Masdar supporting that shift?
Thank you, Mohammed. First, please allow me to thank His Excellency Sultan al-Naimi and his great team for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to speak today and share our experience and share our knowledge. So congratulations and thank you again, sir. I think before we discuss this very important aspect of demand and supply, which now everyone talks about AI and the nexus between AI to energy and energy to AI. And to put things into context, we have to go back in history, and I would like to just highlight the history of Masdar and why Masdar was created. And I think this is very important because the creation of Masdar is in fact to address a very important point that you have just raised, which is energy security. Our country, as a young country, was blessed with a very important resource, which is hydrocarbons. Power generation is basically an output of an energy source. It could be conventional energy vis-a-vis fossils like gas and oil, or it could be coal, or it could be clean electrons, that what we call conventional clean electrons. And the conventional clean electrons are basically hydro, which we don't have, or nuclear, which we did not have. So our leadership, when they looked at our current demand, which is really massive demand of electrons, because of the fact that we are a young country, a country that will build its infrastructure, a country that will attract direct foreign investment, it will attract residents from all over the world, it means growth. And obviously, because we have a natural resource called oil and gas, our energy system was designed to cater with that blessing, which is the indigenous resource that we have. So our leadership, as you are aware, are visionary leadership. Leaders that think beyond just 5, 10, or 30 years. And the idea that this country is only dependent on one source of energy is an idea that should not be accepted. Even if we are blessed with this resource. Because ultimately this resource is a depleted resource. So what did our leadership do? In 2006, they created a company called Abu Dhabi Future Energy Company, Masdar. But not only that, they created a company called Emirates Nuclear Company. Now, in essence, the creation of those two entities was a hedge of the future. Is we should not depend on our indigenous resource only, which is fossil. We should also balance our system. And if you look at our system, because we are in a very difficult, harsh condition, a desert area in fact, our electrons are not only used to power this hole or your house. These electrons are also going to power our water needs, our cooling needs. In fact, almost 40% of our electrons that depends on gas are going to desalinate water and cool the very harsh desert condition in the summer. That means what? It means that our growth, the growth of demand of the power is humongous. And it has been humongous since inception. On average, our demand for power since inception is not less than 4 to 5%. And I just want to put things into context before we answer this very important question, because history is very important and the context is very important. Now, so imagine if you as a country, your growth in demand has been growing regardless of AI, okay, of 4 to 5% annually. And if you compare that to the developed world, So let's talk about the United States of America and Europe. If you look at the US demand curve, it has been almost less than 1% growth. And compared to the United Arab Emirates as a small country, but we are a developing country. And then comes AI. And guess what? Because we have leaders who are visionary, our leaders are also one of the first to adopt AI. And not only to adopt AI in the way we operate, like my dear brother Musabbah highlighted what ADNOC is doing, utilizing that technology to optimize their operation. But more importantly, we are investing in AI infrastructure. AI infrastructure is a source of humongous demand of electrons to fuel that intelligence, or what we call intelligence factories, data center, hyperscaler, call it whatever you want to call it. What's the fuel of that intelligence? These electrons. So, while we are building that infrastructure, it means what? It means that our demand curve will increase.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we can't be just dependent on what?
And what we
the
have.
blessed natural resource that we have. We also need to harness a blessed resource that God also gave us in this beautiful desert. The sun. The sun. Now the problem with renewables is that when the sun goes down, there is no electrons. So how do we address this? We address this by the fact that we have built a company 20 years ago that only focuses in clean technology called Masdar. And because that company was built 20 years ago, this company today is one of the largest renewable energy company in the world. But not only that, this company has competencies and knowledge that nobody has. And because of that fact, this company created green electrons that can be generated from the sun 24/7 here in this city, Abu Dhabi, and our capital of Abu Dhabi.
Thank you, Mr. Ramahi. I will come back to you in the moment. But first, let me move to Captain Saif Mheiri and to the connectivity that AI, energy, need connectivity. Captain Saif, the UAE has become a global leader in both artificial intelligence and connectivity, but the next frontier is integration, smart port, digital corridors, and seamless data flow. How do you see this new generation of connectivity enabling the UAE not just to move goods faster, but also to capture the value from trade and high-value services?
Thank you very much for inviting Ediport Group for this very important event. Thank you, Your Excellency. Future Economy Forum. With regard to the physical infrastructure and digital platforms, this integration, achieving efficiency and value, is cornerstone of Ediport Group operating model. Ediport Group consists of four main clusters, which are ports, economic cities and free zone, maritime and shipping, and logistics. We are present in 50 countries around the world with 28 terminals internationally and over 270 vessels working in port services, oil and gas services, subsea services, and international trade. So this is a vertically integrated trade enabler, and this ecosystem that under Ediport Group contributed, as per Oxford economics report, around 23% of the non-oil GDP in 2022. This is around 12% of UAE non-oil GDP. Integration of AI is something we started recently, integrating in our operations, and number of agents has been developed, and a blueprint paper we established, which is basically talking about development of human AI team. What does that mean? That means that our humans, our employees and AIs as a team working together as the AI employees and agents that we have. From the last quarters and the beginning of this quarter, we are seeing achievements happening in this regard. I can give example, 3% of our fuel consumption on board the ships has been reduced, the 3% reduction in fuel consumption. That's because of the voyage optimization AI tools that we are using. 90% of our container utilization has been increased because of this AI agents, as well as in terms of efficiency, 90% time saved for our HR and human resources productivity and process. Another example I would like to share as well is one of the tools that we are very proud of, which is the trade single window of Abu Dhabi that Ediport Group has developed, which is called Advanced Trade and Logistic Platform, ATLP, and we have the Arabic brand for it, which is Utlib. It's a single window for the whole supply chain, from the ships, the vessel liners, ship agents, terminals, port authority, customs authority, relevant government authorities, from submission to payment to tracking to permitting, all of them under one single window. To date, there are over 30 million transactions happened in this single window, which we estimate that it mitigated around 700,000 tons of CO2. And this is something we are very proud of, and we are continuing doing. Having AI embedded in all of our function is something we give full priority, because it will enable our growth locally and internationally.
Thank you, Captain Al-Mheiri. Mr. Ramahi, His Excellency Sabbah Al-Ka'bi mentioned something about a huge renewable projects in Masdar, and I wanted to know more about this project, how this project is a game changer for the renewable industry, and how will it help advance the AI economy by powering data center demand.
Yes, Amna, thank you. Mr. Sabbah stole the thunder. So I think, honestly, this project is very special. You know, now to generate electrons from natural resources, 24 hours is very difficult. In the past, the only form that potentially can generate electrons 24 hours from natural resources that is renewable is, for example, geothermal. Geothermal is in fact one technology that could generate electrons 24 hours. But it was very difficult for the sun and the wind technologies to generate 24 hours because of the lack of the resource. Either the wind doesn't blow or the sun doesn't shine. And for us here in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates to scale up a 24/7 renewable energy system which is very important in the electron business, that is reliable, number one, and affordable, number two. Okay? Because we have done in the past, if you recall, maybe some of you recall, maybe not, but 16 years ago, His Highness, at that time, our Crown Prince, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, he inaugurated with King Juan Carlos in Spain, the first of its kind solar 24/7. That's in Ashbilia, Spain. It's called Khema Solar. 17 megawatt system, just to put things into perspective also. 17 megawatt system, tower concentrated solar power that uses thermal storage to generate power 24/7. It was in fact one of its kind, but very small and very expensive. Okay, still in operations. But now to produce 1 gigawatt, just also to explain it in very simple terms, is sufficient enough to almost power 250,000 homes. 250,000 homes. A quarter of a million. This is the scale. And to design this and integrate it with the largest installation, this is the largest installation of an energy storage system in the world, 19 gigawatt hour for 8 hours, 2 cycles, is also unprecedented. And we were able to do it here in Abu Dhabi. And there are so many reasons why, of course. I don't want to take also all the credit at Masdar. We want to also give credit to the technology providers who were able to scale up. And in fact, I also want to, China played a very important role. They were able to scale up such technologies in a way that they are able to produce such technologies in a very competitive, very efficient way. Give credit to also the Chinese also on that. So scaling up these technologies enabled us with our knowledge to put something together that has never been done. And this will be the blueprint of the future. Now you can't do this in Europe, just to be clear. You can do it here in the United Arab Emirates. And you can do it in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And you can do it in Sultanate Oman. But in Europe, it will be very difficult to do. You can do it in Africa as well, if the governments are able to push, of course, policies and allow faster permits and build the infrastructure. But in Europe, it will be very difficult to do. In the US, you can do it if, again, the government was supportive, you know. And you mentioned the regulatory change in the big beautiful bill, for example, with the Trump administration. A good thing about that bill is fast track permits and approvals. That's very important. I'll just give you a very good example, because the government is essential in success, because they set the strategy, the vision, they set the policy, okay, and they allow us to execute. Yani imagine if I go to Baladiyat Abu Dhabi, which is our Abu Dhabi municipality, and tell them I want to do this project, and Abu Dhabi municipality sits on this permitting approval for 3 years. I will never deliver in 2027. And this is exactly what's happening in Europe today. I have a project in Greece. It's the largest pump hydro project that is today under construction. Believe me if I tell you, we started developing that project more than 15 years ago. And we started the construction last year. Correct? So the ability to execute this project is important. And this stems by the regulator and the government. The government role is very key.
For sure.
To enable us.
Yes, that's
but
right.
That will power the future. That 1 gigawatt will go to power hyperscalers in Abu Dhabi. And we will do the same thing, inshallah, in other countries.
Thank you, Mr. Ramahi. Now I want to zoom out to Your Excellency. As you mentioned that Africa holds immense minerals wealth and rising energy demand. But I want to know, how can countries move from resource extraction to value creation, to building a digital and industrial ecosystem around these resources?
I think that's the greatest challenge that we face in Africa. I mean, the resources are there.
How to take it on?
I think that's where forging the relevant partnership comes in. That's where geopolitics trumps geoeconomics. And clearly, for us in Africa, most countries don't have the expertise to move from extraction to processing to real use. And it would necessarily be important to forge the partnership with countries that have already gone far in developing this transition from extraction to processing the minerals. In many of the African countries, what you tend to get is just extraction taken from the source to the country that utilizes it. Lithium to China, for example. Gold to UAE. And you can replicate that in several other sectors. But increasingly, the African Union, which is the intergovernmental body for African states, has come up with an African mining vision. And the basic thrust of the African mining vision is that countries that want to utilize minerals from Africa would also be encouraged, not compelled, but encouraged to process on the ground and create the basis for that partnership. So increasingly, many countries that are interested in minerals from, say, South Africa or Nigeria or any of the countries are encouraged to ensure that they process on the ground. But that would not work if the enabling environment is not there for these companies to be able to accomplish that task. So African governments must come up with the necessary policy frameworks and also the infrastructural support that would enable countries that have the expertise to operate on the ground. But it's also not in all cases that it will be profitable to do that. Where it isn't profitable to process and utilize on the ground, there must be a way for this partnership to produce the results that would make competition viable rather than monopoly capital being taken away from the continent. But there are countries that are in a better position to do this. What would then be necessary is for African states to buy into those companies, mostly private sector companies. You can see what is happening now in the diamond sector. Angola and Botswana are trying to buy controlling shares in De Beers so that the diamond that comes out of Botswana or Angola, utilized by De Beers in the UK or the other markets, would still produce royalties and returns on the investment by the countries concerned. And that's a model that works in many parts of the world. There's no reason why such a model should not work in Africa as well.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now let me turn to you, Captain Saif and Mheiri. As the maritime and industrial sector decarbonize, how do you see the balance evolving between competitiveness and sustainability? And what models of industry energy synergy could define the next wave of clean industrialization?
At AD Port Group, I can speak from the maritime and logistics sector. At AD Port Group, we are exploring and working on all decarbonization models, starting from being efficient in our operations, where we are, I explained how we are using the AI tools. The second is through electrification, where we have electrification in our equipment and operations. Even from anything can be electrified. We are doing that because that will be ensuring our journey toward decarbonization. Number of initiatives related to alternative fuels as well as renewable energy. Examples I can share here today is we have a vessel which is called Safin Green, and it is a surveying vessel, and it is consuming 90% less fuel because of its engine model, which is can run in full electrical engine as well as can run biofuel. Other modes which are related to alternative fuel. Last week at ADIPEC, we signed an agreement with the private sector to establish a storage and terminal for LNG. LNG consumes or produces 20% less GHG gas emissions from its operations when using it as fuel. And from that as well, we early this year, we have done the first LNG ship-to-ship bunkering, and two of our largest car carriers are running dual fuel with LNG as well. And we are exploring our initiatives, which are some R&D we are doing regarding carbon capture in our ships. Regarding renewable energy. Renewable energy, that's something that we are heavily looking for. Before renewable energies, we have a collaboration with Masdar as well and at Vario toward storage and export of e-methanol. And this is something very, very interesting that we are looking forward to explore. Regarding renewable energy, 90% of our energy supply from our terminals in Spain are coming from clean energy sources, and over 7 of our terminals globally, that is Egypt, Abu Dhabi, Spain, and Jordan, where we are also having solar panels installed, and it mitigated around 5,000 tons of CO2 also from that regard.
That's great. Today's discussion showed that the next phase of growth will be smarter and more sustainable. To all of my guests, before the end of our session, if there is a last point that you want to emphasize to our audience today, in 1 minute, what it's going to be? Let's start with you, Mr. Ramahi.
Just think about the world that is more intelligent and more electrified. The future is electrified and more intelligence. That's very important. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you. Your Excellency?
Well, clearly, technology advancement has come to stay with us. We can't run away from it. But interoperability rather than monopoly is what would really benefit the world most.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Captain Saif.
I will stress on that as well. Collaboration is very important to our journey towards the utilization of technologies and sustainability R&Ds.
Thank you. Technology, energy, and connectivity are now one ecosystem, shaping how economies compete and collaborate. Thank you, gentlemen, and for your insight.